Now let's take a look at how we can begin to distort our textures to match the UVs. So let's jump into Maya here, and this is 03 begin. This is our coffee table, kind of made out of a really large slice of wood here. And so let's take a look. Right now we don't have any UVs, so if we just take this and do an auto map, you can see it maps the top and the bottom, these giant ingons, really well. You can see those are nice and non-distorted. And so, think about this as sort of the center of the tree, and you can see the rings and everything. But it's highly unlikely that we'll have an image that fits this exact shape. And so we'll want to be able to manipulate that. Now think of this as sort of the side of the tree where the grain kind of goes up and down. And so having this nice and straight is going to really help out. Let's take a look at one where we've already got the UVs done. And so if we take a look at this, you can see here is the top and bottom. And then we also have the sides laid out kind of in large sections that are completely straight. So we weren't able to make this all one section just because of the length. It would go outside of the box, or otherwise it would be too small. And so you can kind of make seams in particular areas. And the fact that we've got these striations that are going to be going up and down, we'll be able to hide those seams pretty readily. So then again, you want to come in and, if you want to include the base with that, you can select all of your objects, go to polygons and take a UV snapshot and save that out. And we'll go into Photoshop, and we've got some raw materials for you to work with. So here's just an image of a slice out of a tree that we've taken. We've also got kind of the side of a kind of a rough tree that we can use. Let's take a look at our out UV table. So I've gone ahead and cut and paste this and inverted it and then turned on multiply so we can start to assemble our texture. So at this point you could come in, and if you wanted to start with just the centerpiece, we could select, let's just select this whole thing here. Select across, and let's go ahead and copy, and we'll paste this in. And I want to just put it underneath this. And let's take that and scale it. So we'll get it kind of in the middle there somewhere. And you can think about kind of the scale of it. So, maybe something like that. You can decide on the placement. And we can also come in now and do a distort. It's kind of hard to see as the fourth one down. We can use distort to kind of move this around a little bit. So, make it fit a little bit better, although I don't really want to distort it that much. Okay, you can apply that. You can also use warp. So it's going to be all the way at the bottom of the second section here. I know you can't see that, but and then you can come in and select these areas in here, and that'll allow you to have a little bit more control over the shape of it. So we can come in and we just want to pull this edge over towards the edge that we have on our UVs to kind of match up with that. So you can see we can get it a bit closer. Come in here, and we can go ahead and apply that warp. Say apply transformation. Say yes. And another method that we can use is actually up here under filter called liquify. So let's go ahead and activate that. So we've got into this new sort of interface here. You can change your brush size right up here, and I'm using this forward warp tool with this particular brush size, and that will allow us to come in here and actually move this detail around. Okay, and you can see we see sort of a ghost here. We've got this show backdrop on, and it's set to use all layers. We can also choose to just use layer 2, just use layer 1. That way, we can see our UV layout without having to look at the unwarped image. So, we can come in here, and this gives us a lot more control over the placement of the pixels here. So we can really come in and warp this. So in this case, we're taking a photograph, and we're actually manipulating it to fit the existing UVs. Whereas, in the last one, we had very straightforward UVs, nice straight boards. And when you have those, it's great. Take advantage of that because you can use your photographs pretty much how they are. You just kind of have to assemble them. In many cases, though, you're going to have to do a little bit more manipulation as far as your texture painting goes, just to get it to match up with the particular shape. So we can come in here and liquefy this. Go ahead and bring this down. If you want to get kind of a little bit of a bigger brush size to affect a larger area, you can do that too. Kind of pull this out a little bit. So I'm just kind of warping these local areas instead of the whole thing. Once we're done, we can say OK. And that'll come in and you can see how that warps that into position. Okay. We can then come in and select this detail, copy it. Let's paste it in. And then let's go ahead and we'll scale it. And we want it to fit up here, so let's rotate it as well. There we go. And we'll scale it down a bit more. And then it's just a matter of duplicating this across. Okay, so you want it to kind of duplicate across here. Let's take a look at one that's already done. I've color corrected these two to match up with the wood a little bit better, so they're all a little bit more brown. And you can see here I've just kind of duplicated this across, and you can see the tiles, but you're not going to see on that table, you're not going to see both sides at the same time. So it's going to be it's going to be a lot harder to spot that because you're not seeing it all at once. Hey, if you have something that's really long that you can tile, or you can take sections of this, if you want to make that a little bit less apparent, you can do that too. Okay, so once you've got this image, you can save that back out. And remember, when you save it out, again, turn off your UVs. Let's go back into Maya and we can see what this looks like with that texture applied. So you can see on the sides, we get that striation, as well as on these little balls at the bottom. But then on the top, we get that nice texture that we have here of the top that we warped into position. Okay, and then, looking at it from the side, works pretty well. You can see on the side, obviously these are from different trees, so they don't match up exactly, but visually, I think it works. Okay, and so that's a few ways in Photoshop that we can start to warp our textures to match the UVs for a particular shape that we have in our interior. In the next lesson, let's take a look at how we can start to modify our UVs if we have some sort of an existing texture. Sometimes it'll be easier to just modify your UVs to fit that texture. So let's do that next.